In this example, we're asked to graph the line of y equals 4/3 x minus 2. So this is a fraction which sometimes can be very intimidating for students, so I'm going to go over it very carefully. But again, the same rule applies if we're using the method of the x and y intercepts, is that you have to let one variable be 0 in order to find the other, in order to solve for the other variable. So it doesn't matter the order in which you do it first, but I'm going to go ahead and let x be 0 because it's always our easiest point when you let x be 0. So when you let x be 0, remove the x and replace it with 0, we can clearly see already what y would be. Because the only thing you have left here would be -2. And the reason for that is you know that any number times 0 is 0, so that's gone. All you have left is just the fact that y is -2. So when you plug in a 0 for x, what do you get out for y is -2. So your order pair is 0, -2. Okay, so now we're going to let y be 0. So we're going to remove the y, replace it with 0 in order to solve for x. Now, little heads up, whenever you have a fraction and you let y be 0, it may be a little bit more work than using x for 0. When you let x be 0, you can get your answer pretty quick. When you let y be 0 and you have a fraction, a little bit more work, but certainly doable. So let's continue. I want to solve for x. What will be the first steps to solving for x? Well, that's correct. I need to get rid of this -2. And the way I get rid of it is to do the opposite. The opposite of -2 is +2. So we need to add 2 to each side. What is my next step to solving this equation? Well, recall in our class lectures that I mentioned, the best way to clear a fraction and get rid of it is to take the denominator, whatever the denominator is, and multiply both sides of the equation by the denominator. This will always get rid of your fraction. So recall what you do to one side, you'll have to do to the other. Once we multiply both sides by 3, and we're going to cancel the 3's on the right side. So the left side, we will have 3 times 2, which is 6. On the right side, we have 4 times x, which is 4x. Okay, so what's my next step to solving this equation? If you said divide by 4, that is correct. I need to divide by 4 in order to solve for x. And recall the rules for equations. Whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. So when I divide by 4, I'm going to have 6/4, which means I need to reduce that fraction. And when I reduce it, that fraction reduces to 3/2. So there you have it. When you plug in a 0 for y, what you get out for x is 3/2. So my ordered pair is 3/2, 0. Now that we have our x and y intercept, it's time to go ahead and graph our line. The first point is 0 and down 2. The other point is over 1.5, because 3/2 is the same thing as 1.5. So I need to be between 1 and 2. So that's 1.5, and stay at 0. Line your ruler up and draw your line.